Have you ever started something new and even with the best of intentions, something got in your way and threw you off, and maybe you never returned to it again? Starting anything new, it's almost always certain that obstacles will come up. They will throw us off, they'll get in our way, make us question what we're doing, or lose sight of it altogether. Yoga gives us 9 obstacles. It tells us what's going to get in our way. That way, when we see it, we can say, I was waiting for you, and be ready to circumnavigate the obstacle or to see it coming and give ourselves some grace. So we'll talk about each of the 9 obstacles. I'll share what they are, a little bit of how they've showed up for me, and how you can get past or around these obstacles to continue with your consistent, sustainable yoga practice. One that is not listed that we can name right away is ego. If we are practicing with ego or for ego, we're practicing to look a certain way, to have people think of us a certain way, or to prove ourselves worthy, or whatever that looks like, that won't hold up. So return to your why, your values, or why you want to start a yoga practice, why you started a yoga practice, and keep that close to your heart. Because the ego will want to take control. The ego is going to tell you that you're doing so good at yoga that you could teach the class, and so you no longer need to go. Your ego will tell you that you are better than others because you have a yoga practice and they don't. The ego will get in the way in so many ways, and you can just know that that one will come up, but practicing for your ego will not serve you. Let's get into the 9 obstacles. The first one, illness. Makes sense, right? When we get sick, we don't feel like getting to our yoga practice. And there's some grace with that. We need rest when we're sick. We need to heal and take care of ourselves before we return to a physical practice. What you now know is that yoga goes beyond the physical practice. It comes off the mat into our life. So if you're ill, perhaps you could withdraw your senses, pratyahara, or you could focus on just one thing, dharana, concentration. Concentrating is really hard when I'm sick, so I'm kind of laughing at that one because that would be difficult. But the point is that we could still practice ahimsa, nonviolence. If we're sick, we could be kind to others. Sometimes we don't feel well, we're not always our best self, but we could choose to practice nonviolence, and we're still practicing yoga. We're still on the path. But as for the physical practice, I think illness makes sense. So when you do come under an ailment, giving yourself grace to step away from your physical practice, to rest, to recover, and to return. Another one is lethargy or resignation. Laziness, it could be said, like you just don't want to. And when this laziness, or what yoga or Ayurveda calls tamas, is a more heavy, darker energy, when that comes over us, yoga might be the last thing we want to do. It might be what we need. We may be looking for an energizing practice to get us out of a lethargic slump. But just know, when you feel that way, you may not want to practice yoga, and yoga is still the solution. Doesn't mean you can't give yourself grace to feel how you feel. I just want you to know that these things are going to come up, and they're going to make you not want to get to your yoga practice, whatever it is that you set out for your rhythm or routine. Self-doubt or vacillation. Should I go to yoga? Should I not go to yoga? Should I start this video? Should I not start this video? This back and forth is energy draining. It takes your prana, your life force, away from the energy that you could dedicate to a short yoga practice. When vacillation comes up, should I do it, should I not do it? I recommend just one pose or 10-minute sequence. Meet yourself where you're at. Vacillation is almost a constant in my life. I don't know if it's a constant in your life. This torn between doing this and doing that can be, or am I even doing it right? That can be the self-doubt. If I'm not doing it right, then I don't want to show up. And for that, I advise releasing the need to do it right. Misperception. We've talked a lot about misperceptions in this series, what yoga is, what yoga isn't. When we misperceive what we want or are getting out of our yoga practice, when we misperceive ourselves, then that can throw us off of our yoga practice. The best thing you can do is get to your yoga practice to reconnect. When we're misperceiving, we are not connected. We're not seeing clearly. We're seeing through the past experiences. Dullness and apathy, similar to lethargy. When we feel dull or apathetic, we just don't care. A yoga practice can seem like, why would it matter? What difference is it going to make if I show up to my regular yoga practice? But show up to your yoga practice and tell me how you feel. I almost guarantee that you'll feel proud of yourself for showing up, and that it will shift you out or move you slightly away from a dull or apathetic state. Craving is another one. Craving and aversion are like a pendulum, and we're swinging back and forth between that which we don't have and that which we want, and that which we don't have and that which we don't want. So this constant distraction pulling our senses away. So when we find ourselves in craving something that we don't have, it can distract us away from our yoga practice. If you notice that you're craving something else instead of your yoga practice, just check in. What is that you're craving? The craving, the desire, this pendulum, it will keep going, but our yoga practice can help us to balance that right in the middle. It's funny how yoga is the solution to all of the hindrances of yoga, isn't it? Instability is another hindrance. I had a friend who was living in short-term housing. She was moving from place to place to place, so she experienced quite a bit of instability in her own life. And that made it difficult to get to her yoga practice because she maybe didn't know where she was going to be for the next week's practice. Instability in our schedule. If your work schedule is unstable, it's hard to find that one time that you can return to your mat because there isn't just that one time every week. So be flexible with yourself. Drop the need to have your yoga practice be a certain way, and allow yourself to show up as you are. If that means on one Tuesday it's for 10 minutes at 4 p.m., but another Tuesday it's at 6 a.m. for 30 minutes, or whatever that is, set your dial to be flexible, but value your yoga practice. The next one is negligence, neglecting yourself, neglecting self-care. This kind of goes with that instability in the sense that when we have an unstable life or there's instability in our life, it's easy to neglect that which we need. We're just surviving, trying to get from one thing to the next and not creating space. This is a good time to remember that our yoga practice is there to ground us. It's there to help center us so that we can feel more stable, more nurtured on a regular basis. When you don't take care of yourself for a long time, then it takes a while to catch up, right? We need more at once. And the self-care of a 30-minute bath is not enough. We need a whole weekend to recover and to really build up ourself again. The last one is failure to obtain the goal. Have you ever set out a goal for yourself and it just didn't come no matter how hard you tried, and so you just gave up? I hear this with weight loss programs. I went through this whole 8-week program and I didn't lose any weight. So what's the point? Again, yoga is not a quick fix. And so it may not serve you to set a goal like I'm going to lose this much weight, but it might serve you better to choose a goal of, I want to feel like this. I want to feel better, but what is better for you? That way you're tying to what's present and current, and any kind of outcome like weight loss is a ripple. It's a secondary effect. The primary effect is to feel more peace within your body. When you feel more peace in your body, that will ripple out into beautiful things, all the things that you have ever wanted, really. The more peace you create, the more homeostasis you create within your body, then you can function and move and flow through your life with greater ease and confidence. Which of these obstacles is most likely to get in your way? Which ones are you most familiar with? I'd love to know in the comments. Thanks for being here with me. I will see you in our next and last video.